This is the VMU Pro. On the surface, it looks like the ultimate upgrade for the Sega Dreamcast, a backlit, rechargeable memory card that promises to solve every storage headache we've had since 1999. But after using it with my setup, with GDEMU and OpenMenu, I realized there's a lot of confusion about what this thing actually is. Is it just a fancy memory card? Is it a portable console? Can you load your Dreamcast ROMs onto it? Today, we're breaking down exactly what the VMU Pro does, what it doesn't do, and why its most exciting feature might be the one that's most obvious. Hey, I'm Ty, and this is the Tynology gaming channel. Welcome. This right here is the VMU Pro. And at first glance, it may just look like a normal VMU, but today we're here to talk about what it does, what it doesn't do, and why I think this is one of the coolest upgrades that you can make for your Dreamcast console in 2026. But it's not without its flaws, and I'll get into those shortly. So the VMU Pro was released by 8-Bit Mods. I pre-ordered it right when the pre-orders went up because I was really interested in it. And I just got mine a few weeks ago, and I've been playing around with it for a while. Now, upon unboxing, I ran into some issues where I thought that it was charged, but it wasn't charged. It booted up, but then it died. I was sticking in and out the SD card. I couldn't get it to turn on for a while, but I figured it all out. So upon looking at it, it looks very similar to a regular VMU. The screen is a little bit taller vertically. It's a 1.5-inch IPS TFT display, 256 by 256, I believe. And the screen looks beautiful. On the right side, you have a micro SD card slot. All the face buttons are the same as the VMU. On the back, you have a speaker. And on the bottom, you have two buttons for controlling the menus when your VMU Pro is inserted into a Dreamcast controller. Now, when you turn it on, all right, there it goes. You have a lot of options, but let me open this up with the best use case for the VMU Pro is for saving games on your original hardware Dreamcast, because it advertises that you have infinite storage in here, and you really do, because, you know, I stuck a 32 gigabyte SD card in here and it's overkill. I'll get into that in a little bit. First and foremost, what it does is whenever you start up a game, it creates what are called virtual memory cards. And so when you're browsing through, you can see all your saves, and the VMU Pro knows which virtual memory card to load based on which game you're playing. And so if you have a Sonic Adventure save in like the third virtual memory card slot, when you boot up Sonic Adventure, it will know to load that thing. So it makes a virtual save for every single game that you play. And it uses game ID to identify the game and automatically know which game you're going to play and which save to load. One of the biggest downsides of the VMU was that it only had 128 kilobytes of storage, which meant you could save maybe 2 or 3 games onto one of these. This solves that problem. You can save the entire library of Dreamcast saves onto a few hundred megabyte SD card. It will make infinite number of virtual memory cards for all your games. What this does not do is it doesn't replace an optical drive emulator. You know, the MemCard Pro, the PS2 one from 8-Bit Mods, I got a knockoff one, and you can run FreeMcBoot to actually act as an optical drive emulator. This doesn't do that. It works together with OpenMenu, but this won't replace that. This does not have Dreamcast games on it. It is just a memory card with a few separate features that are kind of fun, but it's not going to ultimately change the way you play the games. You'll still want a GDEMU to load up your games on the Dreamcast. You know, it was a few years ago, I made a video about my love for the Sega Dreamcast, and I talked about my GDEMU because my optical drive had gone out. I stated in that video that I truly believe that the best way to experience the Sega Dreamcast is to play on original hardware, because it's such a unique experience. When you disconnect the full experience, you lose something in that. That's why I love that this device exists, because I had struggled to progress into games, because even though I have 3 VMUs, they're all dead. I struggled with, okay, which VMU do I have space on? I don't have any space on them. This solves that problem. You can essentially save as many games as you want onto here. You can do all the Chow Adventure, all the VMU games, and there is a list of hundreds of homebrew games and all the official released mini games. You can just load right on here. And one thing you will need is a VMU Bios, which it took me a really long time to find. Am I allowed to link that in the description? If I'm allowed to link that in the description, it'll be in the description. Now, what's cool is this works seamlessly with OpenMenu and the GDEMU ecosystem. It knows which virtual memory card to load, and so it just works. And if that's all you really want to do, if you just want a gigantic VMU that looks beautiful for your Dreamcast, this works right out of the box once you put in an SD card. It also works with disk-based games. It'll pick up which game you're playing. And another feature is because it has the standard adapter, you can take your old saves from an original VMU and copy them into here. I want to emphasize that that is the main purpose of this. It's a beautiful VMU that can save as many game saves as your heart's content.
Here, take this! A man with golden eyes said to give it to you.
Now, there are some, I'm going to say bonus features that you can take advantage of. So when you first turn on the VMU Pro, you're met with the main screen. Pushing mode, the first option is the VMU browser. This shows all your saves and any saves inside of the native VMU minigames. And from there, you can see what files you have. You can copy them. You can send them to another VMU Pro or original VMU. And yeah, you can delete them if you want. But that's basically your save browser. Now, if you go over once more, you're into games. The first option is the eVMU, which turns this into an original VMU. So you can load up Chow Adventure or Pinta's Quest or any other VMU minigame, lots of homebrew. Like I said, I'll link in the description a huge list of everything that was released. And when you load from the SD card, you can see everything. This is what you need the BIOS for. Additionally, on the 8-Bit Mods wiki, it explains to you how you can load emulators, specifically for Sega Master System and Game Gear, NES, and Game Boy and Game Boy Color. There's 3 emulators. It explains how you have to set up your folder structure. You have to make a ROMs folder. You have to put the emulator files in the games folder. I put every single Game Gear, Sega Master System, NES, Game Boy, and Game Boy Color game on here, and I went from 32 gigs to 31 gigs. But this is kind of a novelty because this is so tiny, it's not comfortable to play. It's a neat party trick, and I can't even get the save states to work right. It says whenever I hit save and continue and then I load, it doesn't do anything. So maybe it's something I'm doing. There's also an apps folder with nothing in it. 8-Bit Mods created an SDK. They made forums for people to discuss app development and stuff. The only problem is I went there to see like, oh, what other apps can I put on here? And the place is a ghost town, which is unfortunate because of all the work that went into this. Maybe the community just hasn't gotten there yet. It kind of makes me want to try to figure out how to do this so I can make an app for the VMU Pro, but hopefully we'll get some apps in the future. The other thing is I think a lot of people haven't gotten their hands on these yet, so maybe that's an issue. And then the next thing is an MP3 player. And this comes built in. You just load up your MP3s into a folder and it works. It's not the most intuitive. I pirated my old band's music and put it on here. It seems to work fine. The controls are a little funky, but it works. I couldn't get the volume to change when I would change the volume. Maybe that's a little bug. You can use USB to headphone adapters if you want. I kind of want to use this as an MP3 player, to be honest. But that's a neat little feature. You can load up all your favorite music and not have to stream it from Spotify or something. And then getting into the settings, a feature I totally forgot to talk about is it's Wi-Fi. You can connect it to your Wi-Fi. You get over-the-air updates. Really cool. They've been releasing updates pretty regularly. You can do all sorts of things. You can change the screen settings for the eVMU. You can change the resolution scaling, set how long before the screen dims, if it's not plugged in, when it auto sleeps, when it turns off. So yeah, that's basically what it does. It's an infinitely saving VMU memory card with a beautiful screen and some novelties that you can play around with the apps, the MP3 player, the emulators. Not going to be your daily driver for any of those consoles, but it's cool to have. Now, there were some little quirks with getting it set up. I had to look through the wiki and for setting up the emulators and stuff. The great thing is you can charge it over USB, and it also charges when you place it into the controller. So you'll never have to worry about a dead VMU, which it fits really nicely. It sticks out a little bit, but I don't mind. It's not like the jump pack, unless you're using the Striker DC from Retro Fighters, which my fiance got me for Christmas because she knows how much I love the Dreamcast. But all VMUs stick out past the top of that. There are a few things really kind of nitpicky that I want to talk about. First and foremost is the build quality is great. I know the first round of people that were getting theirs, they had some issues with sticking buttons. I haven't had that. My only issue, I know it's kind of dumb, but the top cap of it doesn't quite match the size of the VMU. There's like the curve of the top of it is too big on the top cap, and so it leaves a little gap on the right side. It doesn't affect anything. Every other side looks great, other than a few of the little software quirks that I just couldn't quite figure out. I don't know if they're bugs or maybe I'm just not doing it right. That's fine. This is brand new, highly engineered software. There'll be more documentation. There'll be more fixes as the community grows around this type of device. I love the VMU. It was definitely underutilized in its life. So I feel like this was in the heads of the people that created the Dreamcast of what the VMU could be. Not having to deal with dead batteries, not having to deal with only 200 blocks of storage. This is an absolute game changer if you like to play Dreamcast games on a Dreamcast. So like I said, don't expect to load up Dreamcast games and use this as an optical drive emulator. I have a link in the description to buy these from 8-Bit Mods directly. When I pre-ordered it, it was like $81 US, which is not cheap, but it's cheaper than buying 4 VMUs. The price I just checked has gone up to about $96 US. I know there's some tariff issues. I don't know if that's happening across the board, but if you're getting it to the US right now, they're $96 plus about $15 shipping from the UK. And I think it's about a 4-month wait to get them. So if you want one, get one now, because I don't think the wait's going to go down anytime soon. So what do you think? Do you play Dreamcast on original hardware, or are you an emulator person? Are you a developer? Can you make some apps for this thing? If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want more. I know I've been gone for a little while, but I have a lot of videos partially done that I hope to be releasing soon. Stay tuned. Take it easy. Cheers.